On Friday, I said, wow, what a blockbuster WhatsApp message. I'm sure there will be an enormous story over the weekend that the White House is going to be pushing to take this story off of the front page. And sure enough, we've got the State Department drumming up all the drama that took place over the weekend in Russia. So I don't know if it's going to break through. The mainstream media has an excuse again not to cover it. They're covering everything about Russia and the Wagner Group.
Yeah, it's true.
As if it really matters to the U.S. right now.
I mean, that's crazy town. By the way, look at what we did. I just covered Hunter Biden, and now I'm covering Russia. Amazing. You can do both. And maybe the most sort of dishonest part about what some try to do in situations like this, where they want the public to consider sort of unfounded conspiracies, is to say that we're just asking questions. Listen to Campos Duffy try to explain her questions as some sort of productive curiosity.
You know, back in the Iraq and Afghanistan war, I was one of those people that just sort of believed everything that came out of my government. And now I don't believe a lot of it. And I'm always questioning things.
Questioning things is good. But question with specifics or evidence, like how certain were we of the evidence that Iraq was building weapons of mass destruction? I asked some of those questions. We all should have asked it more. But the government has also told us that, I don't know, I-95 collapsed in Philadelphia and is now reopened. And to take cover when a tornado is coming. We don't question that. Some things just don't make sense to question. And that doing so is a disservice to the audience and can be to the country as well. Let's check in with someone who knows the region and realities as well as anyone. Joel Rubin. He served as former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for the Obama administration. Thanks so much for coming on the show. Appreciate it. All right, so first, what do you make of the possibility of these theories? Am I writing off the 2% chance too quickly here?
No, Dan, you nailed it. Look, the right wing right now is trapped in a disinformation bubble, and they just can't find their way out. The claims made by the segment that you put out there earlier are just deeply dangerous to the United States, to the American brain. Quite frankly, the American people need to have intelligence, not pseudo-intelligence officers propagandizing them with bizarre conspiracy theories that are not rooted in any reality whatsoever.
Explain to us why it's not possible.
Yes. The Wagner Group, to what you said earlier, is a global terrorist organization. They are grave human rights abusers. They've been sanctioned by the United States government for years. In fact, they even meddled in the 2016 elections, as Robert Mueller pointed out in his report. They are colonizing parts of Africa, stealing resources and minerals. They've killed tens of thousands of people in Ukraine, of Ukrainian soldiers. They are the last group on the planet that the United States would work with. And frankly, if the United States had worked with them, it might have actually succeeded, but it didn't. And Prigozhin, he backed off. He turned tail. And Vladimir Putin, neither Putin nor Prigozhin have claimed anything of the sort of the United States in being involved in this. So it's just nuts.
And if you want to view it from the most sort of distrustful way possible, it would also be bad politics, because there's just no doubt that it would get out. That this had happened. This is President Biden addressing this issue with regard to the U.S. or NATO, number one.
That we had to make sure we gave Putin no excuse. Let me emphasize, we gave Putin no excuse to blame this on the West or to blame this on NATO. We made clear that we were not involved. We had nothing to do with it. This was part of a struggle within the Russian system.
And again, it's not that we have to take the president's word at face value. We should have questions, right? We should question our leaders. But none of the possibilities make sense here for how or why the U.S. would have been somehow involved in this.
None of it makes sense. The only thing that makes sense here is that President Biden's policy towards Ukraine is actually working, and it's causing pressures inside the Russian leadership. The cracks are showing. We have Prigozhin, who's leading the Wagner Group, who's gotten tens of thousands of his soldiers killed on behalf of the Kremlin saying enough is enough. This is a bad idea. The strategy is wrong. And then Vladimir Putin and his military attacked them back. And that's what happened. And this is the truth. And the reality is that the United States has no interest in being involved in this internecine civil war amongst ruling oligarchic despots in Russia.
Yeah. And I just want everyone to be clear. I am not saying asking questions is a sin. I'm saying have evidence, have facts. Lay something out to me that says, here's why I'm asking this question. I'm not asking it just because I don't trust the government about anything. I'm asking it because X, Y, and Z, and that's what we don't have here. Joel Rubin, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.